All right, we're finally going to do this. Genesis chapter 1 through 3. And we got the first book of Moses called Genesis. Before we begin though, definitely want to show you something real quick. This right here is basically called the world tree. And it's named Yggdrasil. And when you see this right here would be considered the upper realms, the upper heavens. Okay? This right here is where humanity resides. This is called Midgard. And then this right here is where you would consider the greater light, the lesser light. And then you got the under realms. This basically is the underworld. And you have the world serpent. And paying attention to the details, you got that little squirrel there, which is very significant here. And it's very important because it goes along with this bird that's up on top. But I'm going to be covering that in the upcoming videos. And I'm going to, this is very interesting. And I'm going to be covering that. It kind of correlates to everything that we're going to be covering here today. And, human anatomy. And along with the skeletal system. So let's begin. And before I do, let me let you know this is a story. And it's just like you read a book. You could read a book once, but then, after reading it the second or third time, you always get something new out of it. Just like movies or just like a video you watch on YouTube. You maybe watch it the first time and you'll be like, oh, you watch it the second time, you raise your frequency and vibration, and you get something different out of it. So it all comes down to you. It depends on you, the type of nutrients and the information that you can actually absorb from what you're listening to. Okay? So I'm going to start. And before I actually go into the book of Genesis, I actually want to talk about the triune brain. All right, where the oldest part of you is your reptilian brainstem. Okay, and that is basically the bottom part. Okay, the reptilian brainstem, and you also have the middle. You got the mammalian, and then you have the neomammalian, neocortex, the human part of you. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you what, this is so significant because this doesn't just have to do with your brain. This is basically all over you. Okay, when you start to talk about 3-headed, 6-headed dragons, I mean, I'm gonna break this down as to how this correlates to the different sections of your body, not just your head. Okay, so let's start now. This is basically God experiencing itself through all things. Okay, and I'm going to break down in different layers that God experiences himself, and it all starts in the imagination. Okay, we'll start with verse 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Now God created the heaven and the earth, but he never talks about this part. He just says he created the heaven and the earth. All right, now the heaven was already there. The reason it says God created the heaven and the earth was because for you to create earth, you would have to have a separation between this and this here. So this is what we would call the firmament, and they call this heaven. Anything above that is all heaven. Okay, but there has to be a separation. That's why it says in the Bible that in the beginning he created heaven and earth. Heaven was already created. The firmament is what we call heaven. Okay, now verse 2 says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. We hear the word deep, we think of waters. But here's the thing though, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, but then the next verse says, and the earth was without form and void. So we already know that there's nothing really concrete here. It's just an idea. All right, so the idea of earth and heaven is in the imagination, because right now, and the earth was without form and void, and then it says that and darkness was upon the face of the deep. All right, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. So this is the becoming part. Okay, it's just like if I'm gonna go garden, I'm gonna get into the spirit of gardening, or even the seasons. Some people may say I'm get into the spirit of Christmas. This is why we hear these things. All right, so getting into the spirit. Now verse 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So this is basically, as you see, the void and darkness was upon the face of the deep. All right, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then it said, let there be light, and there was light. Out of darkness came light. But you see, this is basically already from the gate polarity. feminine and masculine. When we hear the word light, it's not the light that's shining on me right now, okay? When we talk about dark and light, you see, the English language, like words, one word can have so many different meanings. Like the word light can mean lighter in shade, lighter in weight, a light lighting on you. Just like the word right, yeah, you're right, I'm going to make a right turn, or you have human rights. You see how many meanings I can get out of one word? So you got to use a little bit of decoding here. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so you have darkness, which is the feminine aspect, and then there was light. Okay, so now in the next one it says, and God saw the light and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So he's already dividing masculine and feminine. Okay, so don't look at it as the light as light, because there is no light yet. This is polarity, and God has no gender. Don't forget, we're using energies, masculine and feminine energy, okay? To create, you need to have masculine and feminine energies. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now here's the thing though. God called the light day, okay? And day is masculine, and the darkness he called night, feminine. And now look at the next sentence. And the evening and the morning were the first day. This is masculine and feminine, because, and here, for one, it says the first day, right? A day is 24 hours. If it was to be a full day, it would be evening to evening. That's a full 24 hours. But when we talk about it like this, it's a point in time. Like, let's say, for example, you have a work day. You don't work for 24 hours. You had an 8-hour work day. Oh, I had a good work day. Or I had a good day today, but then you go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? You're not up for 24 hours. Your day consists of the time that you're up, right? So that's number one. So it's not a 24-hour day, but we calling it a day. It's an idea. And two, and the evening and morning were the first day. But think about this. The evening and the morning. From evening to morning is technically nighttime, isn't there? It's not daytime. So that means that there's no light. It's letting you know that there's no light. And when you see the word evening to morning, evening is like Eve, Adam and Eve. Eve is the female. That's the feminine, right? And then morning would be when sun rises. So that's the masculine. So here we're speaking of masculine and feminine energies, okay? Okay, chapter 1, verse 6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the water. Okay, how do you divide water from water? You need temperature. So we're talking about solid, liquid, and gas here. So if we talk about solid, how do you separate water from water? Temperature. Once you raise the temperature on something that's water and it's solid, you start to get a drip. You're separating it, or you can create a mist. That's the ways to separate water from the waters. Okay. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So now, this firmament is basically our atmosphere. And if you do a Google search and find out the root word meaning of the word atmosphere, it means steam and vapor. You can look this up. I'm not going to show you now, but look it up yourself. Atmosphere means steam and vapor. Okay, and that's what you have as atmosphere. This is the firmament. Okay. So now we're at chapter 1, verse 8. And God called the firmament. And when you see the word firmament, you see the word ment at the end. Mentality, right? That's your dome. All right. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. Again, we're talking about masculine and feminine here. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together onto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Look at it as draining the swamp. We're experiencing gravity here. We're using magnetism now. So, you basically separated the waters from the waters. It's separated by the firmament. But now you're draining the swamp under the firmament, right? And you're gathering the water into one place. All right? And then it says, gather into one place and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Chapter 1, verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. When you see that, he references this often. And God said that it was good. Good comes from the word good, God. God is in everything. Okay, so whenever you see it was good, it's because it's God. Everything is God. All right, that's 1. 2, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the water he called seas, and God saw that it was good. So this right here is basically creating order out of the chaos, organizing, creating everything into sections now. All right, so this is what he calls the seas. And now here's the thing though, when he exposes the dry land, he calls it earth. Now, as I said, when you have the reptilian, mammalian, and the neocortex, and I just said draining the swamp, as the waters go down, you're exposing now the mammalian, Mother Earth, right? You call Earth Mama, Mother Earth, mammalian, mammalian. That's how you get mama, the word mammalian, right? This is the nurturing part. And then now, so you're exposing the Earth, Mother Nature, mammalian, and this is actually creating now a system which is called the limbic system, and this is responsible for survival mechanism. So this is a system. It's a survival mechanism. Don't forget, we're creating the environment. God is experiencing himself first through the environment. God is in all things, right? And it's not literal. These are reflections. That's why I say this. So chapter 1 verse 11, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit trees yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So you see how you created the limbic system, which is a survival mechanism. Now you're creating the resources, okay? Because out of grass, you know, you can make fabrics out of the things that grow in the field. You can make corn, oats, you know what I'm saying? So these are resources, all right? Chapter 1 verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind. Now think about that, after his kind. That means that this is a carbon, everything he's creating is after his kind. It's a copy of the original, okay? So that's why whenever you hear after his kind, things were already created. This is just a copy. It's a GMO copy of things. And the tree yielding fruit, whose seeds was in itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. Chapter 1 verse 13, and the evening and morning were the third day. So we're on the third day, evening and morning, feminine and masculine, okay? Chapter 1 verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Now you see we're using the word lights here again, but now this definition of light, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs. So that means that this form of light is information. You see those cartoon characters, when they have information, they get a light bulb light up in their head. So light is information. I shed light on something, right? So this type of light are basically what we would call another system that's being designed here, the planetary systems. Because don't forget, everything is a reflection from within. See, what co-governs your organs are the planets. You know what I'm saying? And then you got your chakra systems. These things are always created first, right? The environment is created first, and you have a reflection of these things that come from the inside of you. So God is actually creating these things from inside of God's self. So when you see, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. That's your planetary alignments. Okay, that's astrology right there. That's going to be your information. When you look up, you'll be able to know these energies by looking up, and this would be a source of information. That's light. Chapter 1 verse 15, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and it was so. You see, to give light upon the earth, give information to the earth. Chapter 1 verse 16, and this one's very important. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So in the verse before, you would think that he was creating the stars, but no, because the stars are being created now. Okay, so now the greater light, okay, when you have a greater light and then you have a lesser light. Now he said he made the stars also. This greater light, fractalized, is how the stars were made. The same way God fractalized himself to experience himself here in many different humans, The light, let's say the sun, the greater light, is the light of the world, the life force, the generator. So this fractalizes itself into many different stars, because what are the stars? The stars are constellations. Those are another system. The star constellation systems are basically different animals, different things here, because every animal and even you have a constellation, a star constellation system that we all come from, right? So you have a cat constellation system, the dog constellation system, the bird, the fish, right? So these are now creating the blueprints. The system are being created from the life force, the sun. Okay, that's the father, and it's basically fractalizing itself, and that's how you get all the stars. Okay. Chapter 1 verse 17. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth. So again, information, blueprint. Chapter 1 verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness, and God saw that it was good. The idea, the earth is not lit yet, all right? Because you see the light is there, but it is not lit, okay? Chapter 1 verse 19. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day, feminine and masculine. Chapter 1 verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of the heavens. These are the systems coming online. The solar system we're talking about, the planetary alignments, the star constellation systems, they're all going to be expressing themselves here in physical form now. Okay? Chapter 1 verse 21. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So you see, right now you got all systems coming online, because he created the star constellation systems, created the planets. Now we got the physical things coming into existence to experience themselves. Okay, and God is experiencing itself through all these things right now. Okay. Chapter 1 verse 22. And God blessed them. Now I hear people saying, like, when you say blessed, it's be blessed. No, because when you give somebody a gift, you know what I'm saying, you bless them, or you bless them with something that they actually needed, right? So that's why it says, you know, and God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Gave them the ability to multiply, to make more versions of themselves. So God is actually gifting himself through these creatures. Okay, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Because again, a big ecosystem is a healthier system. So all constellations online now. Chapter 1 verse 23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day, feminine and masculine. Chapter 1 verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping things, the beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. Again, after his kind. Okay, it's a copy. Chapter 1 verse 25. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Here's where I kind of like looked at this twice, is where it says everything after his kind, but then when he said, and the cattle after their kind. Okay, something interesting about the cattle is actually you know, they're cows basically. It don't matter, like, regardless, it's like the grouping of like cows, you know, like you call a female cow a cow, but then a bull would be the male version of it. But generalizing, it is called cattle. But these animals are very you know, they're holy. They're actually sacred. So for example, they're very emotionally attached to their human. You know what I'm saying? Where if their human happened to die, they would know that the human died, even though they're outside and the human's indoors. They would actually start crying for their owner. You know, in Hindu tradition, I mean, they drink the urine of the cow and you know, the milk. Not like we do here where we pasteurize it, but you know, with the life force and all the nutrients and probiotics still intact. But we'll get to the next one. Chapter 1 verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now here's the thing though, look how interesting this is. And God said, let us, like he's talking about more than one. Now, a lot of people say that there's more than one God creating here, and that could be. But then again, if you look at it from another perspective, when it says let us, that means God is already in all things, and he is probably talking about the things that have been created, the animals, the land, the fields, the crop, the trees. Let us make man in our image. Okay? That's another perspective that you kind of look at. Because look at what it says. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish. So this is going to be God experiencing himself. He's going to have dominion over all these things. Okay? And it's going to be in human flesh form. Okay? So God, and this is only possible in Midgard, by the way. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he, him, male and female. Now, nothing was mentioned here about females. We're seeing the word female here, right? Because this is what I'm talking about, masculine and feminine, dark and light. Out of darkness came the light, but the darkness is basically the womb. You know, this is where things, out of darkness comes the light. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God, in the imagination of God. Created he, him, male and female. Created he, them. All right? Chapter 1, verse 28. And God blessed them, gifted them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish. Replenish. You see, this is the thing. Replenish means to do over again. Like it's like there was something there before, right? So you're redoing something. That's what replenish means. And subdue it. So subduing, like if you have a criminal, you subdue somebody, right? Or you subdue something that's in chaotic form, right? So this is making order out of the chaos. So let me read that again, chapter 1, verse 28. And God blessed them and said, God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So he's gifting himself here, okay, in human form. And this is chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all of the earth, and every tree which is the fruit of tree-yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. I'm gonna make a separate video on the meat and flesh part, because there's a lot of significance here, and what that does to the chemistry of the body to begin with, okay, and how it affects the land, and how things are actually compostable here, as far as to the type of things you eat can be recycled out, where what you expel can actually be compost and reusable for nutrients for the body. But when you're on the right side of chemistry, when you start to eat certain things that change that chemistry, it is no longer as good as when you take the right things in you to process and eliminate. Okay, so even your poop and your urine is compostable here, but I'm going to make that in a separate video, and I'm going to cut this video here, and I'm going to continue on in part 2 with the rest of the Genesis story. If you like this, like and subscribe if you're not, and we'll talk soon.